Alrighty, today the trading recap for this Friday, the 22nd of October, 2021. Pretty insane day. This is one for the books, one that we have not had in a long time. Maybe call this one of the best days of the year. And of course, I'm in the red a pretty hard amount. I want to call this an F rating for what I came into the day with, preparation wise, mentally wise, of how I want to grade myself, of how I handled all the trades, of everything that was happening, and just pretty much kind of out of nowhere coming into today. It's just all at once, all these different movers and big percentage gainers and chat rooms exploding, blah, 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 all this stuff. But I'm really going to grade myself as a D because it didn't fall apart completely. But I think just coming into today, not even before, for the pre-market, it was I was just not establishing myself well, but even from that was still able to take a step back and have the perspective of understand a little bit what was going on, still dealing with just every single aspect of the mental challenges that are immediately thrown at me through whether it's social media, other external distractions, maybe potentially out of my control. But I'm always going to put the blame. There are no excuses at the end of the day. It's always going to be on me. So for my own sake, of course, I'm not looking to compare myself to anybody else and say, oh, it's an F because of how great everybody else did. But for me, it's really an F because how much better I know I could be too. It's these types of days with the craziness, and I'm going to try to keep this video as short as I possibly can. And this is not going to be a very in-depth, hard explanation, all these big percentage crazy movers, because I wasn't really a part of it and I can't really shed any light on them. But these types of days too, I have to keep so much more calm and put myself at the forefront, looking to put myself first in a sense, I think is what I'm trying to say, rather than get involved in that FOMO, get involved in, oh, okay, what's everybody else saying? Oh, let's do all this. Let's look at this chat. What this guy's saying? Oh, getting involved in all the alerts that's going on. Even more so too, that is not how my brain works, and that's how I get caught up in the stupid types of trades, and that's how I get caught in the emotion of what the market is supposed to create in you as a trader. So with everything that I do, it's these days, especially in that 2020 market, that would just make me shy away from even wanting to look at a screen too, because everybody and their grandma is making money and, oh, look at these trades and look at this awesomeness, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, great. Yeah, whatever. I just don't care. I can come back at the end of the day when the dust is settled and cleared and actually see what happened. But especially in the moment, and once again, when I'm coming into the day with just different factors that weren't rock steady, it doesn't set up well for the rest of that day too. So call it a little bit of a wash day for what potentials could happen, the percentage opportunities that were there, P&L opportunities that were there, the trade opportunities that were there. I was a part of a little bit, saw just a little bit of it, but and of course I'm never going to get the full glance of everything that did happen, or get the slice of every single great move there. There's just far too many things running and far too much movement to say that you're going to be perfect on all those different moves too. And it's in essence too, with all these big percentage movers, it's not my style of trading. It's not the style to chase these things to the upside and they're up 10,000%, right? And you're like, oh well, if I held overnight too. That's another thing with it. Come in today too, looking at DWAC, and it's up over 100% from yesterday's close, and I'm going, oh, that thought lingered in my mind for a long time of, oh, if I had just put my full account size in this thing overnight, I'd be up this much amount of money. And I think about myself back then now, like, what were you doing? Why were you thinking about that for so long? Yeah, it's a fun thought at times to think about that too when you're out of the market, but that was there for a while in my head too, much longer than it should have been, than I wanted it to be too. And the biases that I came in with from myself into the market today too, of, oh, it's probably going to be a slow day. Yeah, DWAC might probably move or do whatever, but I'm not going to really touch it unless it has a little like panic dip, blah, 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 whatever. So I'm just going to focus on what other stuff. And that is kind of my style. I do not want to be a part of the crazy, super high attention, super volatile plays, because I feel like it's stopped out and just so involved in what everybody else is doing with those style plays versus seeing my own patterns and focusing on those more. But then again, too, this is where a heck of a lot of money can be made in one day as well. So recognizing the opportunity as it's there, but also understanding, hey, what's best for me as a trader, and balancing those for my own psyche to say, do I look at this as a hard day because I missed this great opportunity day? Or do I say, kind of comparing it similar to the summer months in a sense too? It's a terrible example in regards to volatility and like opportunity. But even just for myself as a trader, it's just these types of days that don't click with me well for some reason. That's just everything is moving. Everything is green. Everything's going spiking crazy. There's so many rabbits to catch, all these different opportunities out there. it just kind of becomes that overwhelming sense that gets to me and just makes me want to shut it away, saying, okay, you guys do you go crazy, make your millions. But it's just, yeah, that's just what I had today. So that long-winded intro for that one. There's so much to be said about today too. So many different perspectives on all these different tickers, but the true trends are going to play out. And I'm of course going to do a lot of research over the weekend too, and just recapping, reviewing, debriefing everything that happened today to far better prepare for the future. And I think it's not even just like preparing for these styles of tickers coming into today too. It was just even for myself, that preparing myself as a standard, as just a normal practice of what I'm doing. Because even if I knew the craziness that was going to come into today, it wasn't like I was going to do something differently. It was just the standard approach of how I get ready for a day, how I mentally sharpen myself going forward in a market. So long-winded intro. Let's go over some market fundamentals. SPY had a little bit of a drop off here after we tapped all-time highs once again. Look at the daily here quick too on that. Pretty funny to see we had that quick staying rise. It's just 7 green days we had as of yesterday, and now kind of dojiing out today after we tapped that all-time highs. A little bit higher volume today. I think it's just because it was a Friday and there was a lot of volatility coming out of the small caps, as shown in the dollar volume here. We are 20 minutes after the close here, $220 billion volume in the NASDAQ, which is pretty sweet to see. Nice, $238 billion volume. OTC markets, $2.3 billion volume. First trade was on WTRH. This one has been on my watch list for a while. This one had a decent little move-ish yesterday. Continually, as I was looking at this one and looking at all the other crazy movers, it was just like, okay, this is going to be my focus because this is my trade. I see the pattern I'm looking for, looking for that red to green move. This has been a multi-day holder, not necessarily a crazy low floater, but continuing to just kind of hold these levels, not putting in insane volume. But of course, with everything else that's running, this thing could gain attention. But on the flip side of that coin as well too, if everybody's attention is on other stuff, this one may fall through the cracks and not be as important or have the move that could be there. So I saw myself in pre-market just continually keep sizing myself up, because yesterday, as I'm doing reviews and just thinking about things of, man, I do feel confident, or start feeling a little bit more confident in my hit rate and win rate this month, especially too, and what I'm seeing in these types of patterns playing out specifically on these multi-day holders. And I think the market's getting a little bit hotter. I think this one could go. I'm going to size up a little bit more. Not that it affected my trade decision whatsoever, but I was just seeing, kind of identifying, okay, 155 could be a key level here, as we perked back to the upside of VWAP. Okay, it's holding pretty well. Okay, bidders are coming in a little bit. Okay, now we're up to 156. Oh, shoot. Okay, is it holding well? Are there bidders, sellers there? What's the level 2 action look like? This is not the most awesome, volatile, or just quick mover. It just likes to hold to its key levels, to its specific pennies. And then we get to 157, and that's, okay, is a battle going on here? And I'm thinking, that a little bit of FOMO kicks in and goes, man, I think it could go. We get the move here to the upside. It's, VWAP's not following hard along beside it because, of course, it's not crazy big dollar volume mover. But even then, too, I'm seeing, man, I think 157, it could go from here. With everything else that's going, at least come closer to this 1.6 area here. And then I get a little bit of cushion, maybe cut it if it falls back down to my entry price. But here's another trade again where I pretty much perfectly top tick the buy and pretty much perfectly bottom tick below for what I was selling. And now we pretty much, right after my entry, I was looking at a false support line. That was not any amount of support whatsoever. We break down, we cut below VWAP, and then again too, I'm playing the same games of, well, maybe it's holding here at 152. Okay, now it's broke through that. Oh, okay, maybe it's holding at 1.5 here. Oh, it's just about to break through that. And I barely luckily got out at 1.5 before it just fell off down to 1.48 again too. Then of course bounce back to VWAP, but then harder pullback once again. Choppier day on this one, no volume. One of the just not even showing up on anybody else's scanners for what to be looking at today too. I also wanted to mention, just for myself in review, what I need to be looking at tomorrow as I'm watching this back. DWAC, I need to be looking at PHUN, GROM, CRTD, SALM, SALM, and then GBHL, which I'll get into a little bit too. Just as reviewers, watch those through the on-demand feature. Play those back again and again and again to prepare for that the next time they do happen. So even then, potentially if we get into that next day where even if I'm not in my A+ setup, kind of like I was today too, just not really all the way mentally prepared there, still having that experience, still having the time in the trenches with that, it just becomes an easier transition that I don't have to so hard mentally focus for those, which takes a lot of my attention, which is why I go back to the point of why these days like this one are just so mentally taxing, and days that I really just don't even want to be near the market, because there is so much that I feel I need to be focusing on and looking hard at, that it just becomes like blow my brain up, exhausting, versus when, 10 years down the road of how many charts like this I've seen, that it doesn't take a lot for me to understand what's going on, that I can just very quickly see the price action, the level two, maybe the little chops around, and get the understanding of what and where I need to be in those situations, versus kind of, just like, that infantry unit just standing out there in the field, like first time, just wide-eyed, looking at, trying to get every amount of information and detail that's being played out, versus just seeing what's there and trading off of that. So that was WTRH. Kind of stupid. Bigger dollar loss than I really wanted to take. Of course, because I was trading a little bit bigger of a position size. Just kind of a stupid trade for what was there at the end of the day. Looking back at it, didn't think it was that stupid when I was in it, but of course, here I am now. In hindsight, it's going to be 2020. DWAC now, of course, we got to mention. I'm really just going to leave the chart to let it speak for itself. I also wanted to mention too, just for my own little sake of data, it's interesting to see that dollar volume per trade that we were seeing yesterday, average position size per trade, looking at around like $4,300 per trade as of yesterday, which was pre-market to close there. And then now today, too, not really factoring in the data of after hours here because we don't have it yet, but we're looking around a $2,000 increase per trade on average, which is around data today, 12.1 billion we're sitting at right now. Just under 2 million trades on the day. Pretty ludicrous and pretty standard parabolic penny stock follow. Of course, it's just so hard. And the same thing again, what I mentioned with these two, all these listed, huge crazy movers, it just gets so much more frustrating because of the halts and having to sit through and knowing when the timing of, okay, when is this going to open again? And, trying to read, okay, is this, is this the breakdown here? Or is this just a little level hold here? Oh, okay, we're going to go into another halt. And we got to wait to figure out what's going to happen there. But just little things like that too. Of course, that was the downside of this move, and you see little stutter steps here, people getting wrecked. I did have a dip buy on this one for one share, which even that was a big position size for what kind of speculative, still just a little education piece I wanted to take out of this one for the dip buy. Try to get in on this perfect dip as we were under VWAP. Got in at 93.23 as I thought we were going up, and then it started picking up speed rapidly, dropped under 90. And I was able to get out at 85.39 on that one share. As it just dropped off, I'm like, oh, sweet. Dodged a bullet there. It's still going. And then quickly reversed back to the upside. And then that was the dip opportunity from there into the halt. And I was going, oh, sweet. Just add to another day of learning lessons on this just terrible preparation, terrible, really total trading day for me in that book. But not discouraged by it whatsoever. Continuing to learn, continuing to grow, and the eye-opening was certainly something that I needed for today too, with the fresh and ripe opportunities out there. And glad to see that with these big movers coming out again too, that potentially we could see some more action momentum coming back into these types of tickers, which is good to see. Also traded GBHL, which was looking good to me. Just these types of, again, I mentioned these types of days, but it's, as soon as I start to go downhill like that too, I even more so just want to step away from the market, because I know I'm going to try to do something stupid, try to maybe revenge trade, call it, but just maybe I just take far stupider trades that just shouldn't be there because I'm so clouded in my judgment of what I should be doing. But this was a decent trade. We're seeing, it's moving crazy percentage. This is an OTC ticker, kind of following along the same sector lines of the media companies with DWAC moving on that Trump news. It is a entertainment content production distribution company, whatever. Nice little rise out of the morning session. Pullback still far above VWAP. Trying to create new high days here, just putting in higher lows though, so getting a little bit of a wedge. We're getting a nice little trend line being putting in from this bottom here that's getting harder and harder of a slope, starting here from this level of that higher low that's being put in and then continuing to build. And it's at this point I'm watching level 2, big bid size coming in, and that's one over the millions for 18 level, continuing to build from there. Continual support coming in saying, ooh, I think this could be a nice little breakout attempt. It is, of course, very getting later in the morning session. I think also at this point too, it was losing the GWAC was potentially already on the downside, and all the other movers as well too. Fun and Grom, CRT, SALM, all of those. So it was kind of losing that support. It wasn't getting any other sympathy. It wasn't, if you're trading this as a sympathy, as a sympathy, it was losing that momentum from there. But then again, here still you can't deny the technical levels, what it was building into. This little breakout level, the daily. This is just a pure. Wow, it's funny to see. This is a total doji, huge volume, standalone volume candle day. This is just a super parabolic day. So could have had the potential opportunity to go to that 2 cent level area too. You get many different technical levels that you could break to the upside of, from the former high of day at 19.5 to that 2 cent level. So basically got in on the trade with a little bit of sizing, a little bit more down than what I did on WTRH with a $460 position size. Got in 184, continued to go a little bit more from there. We actually broke to the upside of 19, which I was glad to see, but then it just kind of petered out. Nothing coming in to continue to push that even higher and higher to test that former high of day, and just started to pull back a little bit more and more. So cut it very well for what this trade offered at 186, just above that my entry point, and it's going to end up being a loser, of course, because that was like a $5 profit, and of course I'm paying $11 in OTC fees. But just, call it a break-even trade for what was a smart cut off of what I thought I was seeing potential bid support on that one, and glad I cut it after it ended up being the top tick of the day, pretty much there for whatever that entry was on that specific trade. That is, I was going to keep it brief on that one. Naked, I also cut, of course, too, as it was dumping off, cut that last 200 shares I had at 62 here in this pre-market. Hard sell off this morning in the pre-market. That was not fun to see. So I think it's kind of done for now. It's pretty hard, a little bottom. It's going to take a lot to resurrect this thing to create any new parabolic crazy move. Unfortunate to see on that one, but still learning the swing trading thing, and that's why I'm keeping the position size a little bit to the low side on that one, so I can just still learn without taking huge losses that way. That's pretty much it. And again, no hard scans for me going into tomorrow. Just still licking my wounds from what was today, what the opportunities that were out there, how fast this can sweep you off your feet if you're not prepared for it. But if you certainly are, man, the freaking money that is out there, the easy, predictable cash to be able to capitalize on other people's emotions, the type of people that, like me, could have been trading today too, that would have been handing over a lot of their money to the smart and well-prepared lions that were feasting out there today too. So that's the grind. That's where I'm looking to get to be more prepared going into these for the future. Learning lessons all around. Certainly a smack on the booty to get me going, continually going harder, continually going smarter in everything I do, more disciplined in how I treat myself and treat this entire trading career as well too. So great lessons all around, and I'm glad for it every single day. Grateful for the wins, grateful for the losses all around. Extremely, extremely thankful for this opportunity. And not wearing pants to a job, nothing gets better. All right. So that is all I had. I thank you guys for watching. We will catch you guys on the next one.